We're getting Pat back. Oh, there's Pat. Hey, Pat. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I certainly can, yes. So we're going to get started, okay? Great. All right, well, welcome everybody to this year's new eEducation Council meetings. I apologize sincerely for not being able to join you last time, but I appreciate so much everybody saying, hey, forget about it. Just stay home and help your parents and stuff like that. It's been a wild month for all of that, but I can't thank you enough for just saying don't come. And thanks for being able to come back and do this today. I just want to do a couple quick orders of business and then we'll dive right in, because I really think this is a new opportunity for us to re-engage around the kinds of issues that are really the things that this kind of a group of people should be talking about on a regular basis. I already have probably 25 different suggestions from folks on future meetings, from styles of online learners based around resident and online, all the way out to the recently signed NFB settlement that was either signed yesterday or will be signed today, and the press release will go out today on that. So we could have a whole 90-minute session on what that means to us as learning designers. We can invite people from around campus. So the one thing I wanted to make sure I did is I wanted to tell you two things. First of all, this is being captured with our new lecture capture system that we're piloting this semester. So right now, Echo 360 is recording all of this. It's wired up to all these microphones in here. What you're going to see, it's funny, you're going to end up seeing the slides or whatever is on the screen in the lecture capture, and then Pat, because we thought it would capture this feed. So Pat, you are going to be present on the entire lecture capture of the 90 minutes that we're going to spend together. So don't do anything you don't want to know about, right? The second thing I want to mention is that we put together a new web presence for the council, and it's here. I think everybody has the URL, but we tried to do something different with this, and we're trying to do, since we're going to be using this time to actually spend, hopefully, around single topics having conversations, I'm going to ask people to contribute content to this site in the typical kind of updates we used to do. So remember, we used to do like 5-7 minute things, round robin kind of things. So those kinds of stories, what would be excellent is if people could just contribute them to the site and then tag them with the current month for that meeting. And then it'll show up. It's really easy. You use this login button at the top, and you use your Penn State credentials, if I can remember what my... And once you log in, you just have this little box right here, and you can just type and hit publish. So you don't really have to do anything more than that to share content. I'd be really thrilled to see people during the meeting, if you want to use this almost like Twitter, to capture interesting thoughts, and then Deb and I can work to compile that along with the notes and put it together so we capture the stream of the conversation. So with that, it might be good just quickly to go around the room and just say who you are and where you're from, and then we'll get started. So,
Andrea Gregg, and I'm with World Campus Learning Design.
Amy Garbrick, College of IST.
Wendy Mayhem, Health and Human Development.
Wayne Anderson, the Barron College.
Aikla Kuzani, College of Ag.
Cathy Holsing, Liberal Arts.
Yuri Chin, College of Engineering.
April Malay, Smil.
Mark DeLuca, Smil.
Keith Bailey, Arts and Architecture.
Bill Rose, Arts and Architecture.
Cindy
Pat Orman, Burks.
That's good help.
Cindy Decker-Ranak, the Schreier Institute.
Deb Dixon, TLT.
Roxanne Tony, College of Engineering.
Eleanor Lehman, World Campus Learning Design.
Lynne Johnson, World Campus Learning Design.
Brad Cosley, TLT.
Annie Taylor, Earth and Mineral Sciences.
Terry O'Hearn, TOT.
Alan Gorky, Education Technology Services.
Chris Lucas, TOT.
Stevie Rocco, Earth and Mineral Sciences. Lisa Cahoy, University Libraries.
And our late person, our tardy person.
John Dolan, Bars.
And perfect, one more.
Good morning.
This is...
Suzanne. Most of you know me.
Yeah. So anyway, so I thought we'd go ahead and get started. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about something that I hear nonstop, and that is, what are we doing in various units around learning design? I thought we'd kick that off with a conversation just to have a better sense of what we're all doing. Because I get the feeling as we go around, we all sort of hear these whispers about, oh, we use Elms, we use Plone, we use a homegrown, we do this, but it would be nice to get the level set so we could start a longer-term conversation. I know it's something Keith has been talking about for quite some time, about what is the longer-term vision of where we go as an institution. So with that, I'd just like to invite our first group up to get started, so that is my World Campus friends. You guys need me to log out of this?
I'm not sure. Lynn, are we using the jump drive? Perfect.
Okay.
We do it at distance. We don't do this face-to-face stuff. So we don't know where to plug in.
Right at the top.
Mac or
Right up on the
PC?
top of the podium. Make sure you get
And we're on the Mac.
We are on the Mac USB. This should. You can just quit the browser if you want to. Please work technology. Just sit right here. This is supposed to work so perfectly all the time. Anyone speak amongst ourselves? Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
No, we're going to make everyone else after us look really smart.
It worked?
Yes.
She just didn't have the magic touch.
I see.
What's it called?
Are we doing the keynote or?
Keynote.
Yeah, but it's not.
And then if you need to browse.
It's still open. The browser. We are a well-organized machine, as you can see. So we just put together a few very quick slides to try and hit on what seem to be the most important drivers in terms of how we do our work. I thought it would help, or we thought it would help to kind of contextualize what we've been charged by the President and Provost of Penn State. And the charge of World Campus is generate and retain net new adult distance students. So while resident students do enroll in courses predominantly in the summer, the charge and purpose from Penn State's perspective is net new distance adult students. Succeed in a highly competitive marketplace, so we're fairly constantly hearing, thinking, comparing with other online, comparable online universities, whether it's UMUC, University of Phoenix, Capella, other parallel institutions to Penn State that are not for profit. Designed from an adult learner perspective. So that's another area that we are constantly working on, is kind of trying to think from our standard student who is an adult, probably working often with family learner in terms of synchronous, asynchronous, all of the kind of things that come in, where that is where our perspective is. And this is something increasing that we've known for a while is really important, but are finally actually able to do more effectively, is make decisions based on data. So rather than debate internally incessantly, I like this look and feel, I like this look and feel, and getting into that near religious debate about which is better, let's ask our actual students. So we've started doing that to get more objective data in that regard. Guiding principles, we touched upon these, but distance adult learner focused design. Consistency across programs, so within individual programs, we're trying to do consistent look and feel, consistent branding for that program or that college. In the past 2 years, I would say we have majorly increased the focus on rich media inclusion. So whether it's working with WPSU to do more full-level video production, or just working with our in-house multimedia people, that's become much more of a focus and much more of a push. And seamless technology integration. So one of the principles that we have with our students is they shouldn't be thinking about the technology, they should be thinking about the content. So if we're adding a new technology, et cetera, integrating it with the help desk to make sure it can be properly supported, a lot of attention put on directions, et cetera. And Eleanor?
So now we're going to get in and show you kind of the systems that we use. I don't know if you've heard, but I know we talked a little bit about the fact some people are using Drupal, Elms. The system that we use is known as Evolution, in-house grown system. But basically there's nowhere you're going to go that says Evolution on it. One of the things that we discovered, and Stevie actually played a large role in this one, was when we talked to our design teams about all the different systems that they had to touch to be able to create a course and maintain a course, it was kind of mind-boggling. So our goal for the last couple of years has been to really collapse things down into one system. So we use basically a system that tries to get all the administrative stuff out of the way for our design teams.
Other one.
Other one.
That one.
Other one. So the system that we're using is called Quickbase. Now Quickbase is a system that's brought to you by the people that created TurboTax, tax software, those types of things. We purchased it originally for project management, and we discovered that it wasn't so hot at that for us. Everybody has their own systems they like to use in terms of project management. But it was really good at retaining information about courses. It was really good about pulling information from other places. And it was really good at being able to kind of let people work on a course and not store all the information about that course in their minds, in their email, that type of thing. So basically what Quickbase will do is the design team will go to Quickbase and it will list all of the courses that a particular design team works on. Now our design team is comprised of a designer, an instructional production specialist who assists the designer, multimedia specialist is on the team as well. So all of these people have access to the same screens in Quickbase, and it's basically customized based on who they are and what courses have been assigned to them. So here's an example of somebody on the team that has the EdTech program, has some courses on liberal arts, etc. You'll see the name of the course when you click on it. You'll see what GRS level it is, revenue sharing. You'll see the Angel ID, schedule number. And all these things are pretty much dynamically generated from other systems that are in-house that already have this information in them. So here's an example of the design team. You'll also notice that the instructor's listed here. That is also pulled from a faculty database that our program managers, when the department assigns the faculty member, that person is automatically brought in. The system is great because the system will actually send out an email notification to everybody on the design team that, for example, in this case, the department has now identified that faculty member. The process we used to have was we'd walk across the hall to the TM and say, excuse me, have you figured out who it's going to be? We'd call the department head, we'd ask them, we'd start to bug them. So this way we're getting automatic notifications because every department wants to be able to do kind of it differently in terms of timeline. So this really helped take out a lot of the pain and suffering. We also use it for help desk tickets. During the course delivery, if a student has an issue with the course, they contact our help desk. Our help desk then generates an automatic ticket that goes in here. Same thing, email notifications go out to all the parties involved. And once the ticket has been resolved, the notes go in to Quickbase about what the resolution was, and then it's captured. So it's historical data that then I can go back as a designer. Next time I set up the course, I can go back through the old tickets to make sure I'm not reproducing an error that I'd caused in the first place. It's also nice because that's the kind of information that you go a year later to one of your ITs and go, I think something happened around this course, I think it was, and we have all the information right here and we all have access to it. We can also see if there are common trends. Quickbase does a great job doing reports for us. So at the end of a semester or beginning of a semester, we can see what kind of issues we're commonly facing and then take steps to prevent that. Okay, so here's the stuff you probably wanted to see. This is Evolution. Like I said, you're not going to see anything that says Evolution. It's in Quickbase, but basically this course uses something called the large banner template. And Lynne, I think, will share some examples of that with you. But I, as a designer, can go in and choose the template I want to assign to the course, and it automatically creates that version of the course for me. Our multimedia folks basically create the templates with us, and then we'll put them into Evolution via Quickbase. So we have a whole catalog of templates we can choose from via this interface. So here's an example if I wanted to go through and select certain templates, a certain template for a certain program or certain course, this is where I do it. So you can see all the different selections I have. And basically these are all vetted through our accessibility expert. He goes through the design process with the new templates just to make sure everything is kosher in that respect. Like I said, we also capture all the other information around courses in Quickbase. So If there are copyright permissions we've had to secure with the course, they're actually documented here by our copyright expert. She can also set a deadline for, let's say the copyright holder says this permission expires December of 2012. The system will generate an email about 3 months prior to that to say to her that it's about to expire. She goes to the designer and they figure out what will they do. They'll either secure the permission again, or if they can't do that, then they have at least some time to figure out a replacement in the course. It also gives you a good rundown of the cost associated with copyrights in this particular course.
So you don't use e-reserves?
We do when we can, but
images.
if there are certain situations like images, or if there are things that e-reserves can't get permission to, we might have to get permission separately and they charge us for it. So that's all captured in there. And then this also shows you an example of part of our process around quality assurance. Every course goes through quality assurance before it opens. We have 2 levels of QA that our QA team goes through. For any course, it goes through a level 1. And a level 1 is basically making sure everything in the course is there like it says it should be. They'll do some link checking. Internal links are working. They see if external links are working at that point in time. Level 2 is a little bit more, it's a little bit more in detail. All new courses and all major revision courses go through a QA check level 2, and that really is going from the user perspective. So they're really clicking on everything, making sure everything works the way it should, making sure directions are accurate, reflecting what you should be clicking on at the time. We also go through an accessibility test at that point. So this is an example of all of the things that the QA team has found, and basically it exists as an open ticket until the design team has resolved all the issues that are outstanding. So again, this is a historical, this is all the information that goes with the course, but you can then go back in and kind of do a spot check to see, okay, where are some common things that we might need training on, we might need system help around, those types of things. So I think this is over to you. Yeah.
Eleanor talked more about kind of the process around how we build the course. I'm just going to go in and actually show you one of the courses, but before I do that, she did mention we have really spent a lot of time working on accessibility and usability. We've been fortunate enough to be able to hire somebody who is kind of dedicated to doing this, and they have done some, we actually had 2 people that worked on some user testing. I see a lot of faces of people who used to work at the World Campus, so you may remember years ago when we were looking at a new template design. I know we had, I think, some people in this room that had worked on some of that user testing. So it's kind of what's old is new again. So we've been back doing some of that. And so we had the card sorts where you had to kind of look at what would you expect the link title to be, and then what would you expect to be behind it. So they've done some things like that. We have actually, I think Eleanor or Andrea mentioned, we've designed some of our templates around this research, really trying to make them be usable for all students. We're doing testing with JAWS and screen readers and all of those types of things. So we have also kind of working closely with the accessibility person, or is the multimedia team who's developing our templates. So that's kind of, like I said, a new initiative, and we're really trying to push ahead with that. Most things, before we actually let a designer, if a designer has an idea for a new template, they've got to run through this whole process. You can have this great idea. If it's not accessible, you're going to have to change it. They're going to have to modify it so that it is. So that's kind of where we are with that right now. This is one of our templates. And what we've tried to do, and it's come back through a lot of the testing, is be very consistent in the placement of links and information, because something that has come back to us in several surveys is that the adult students don't want to be searching for information. They want it to be the same place in the course. If I'm going to find a file, I don't want to have to, go 2 different places. Maybe one file is going to be under the activities, and maybe another file is going to be, say, under communicate or whatever. They don't want to do that. So that's something we've worked hard to do. We've also, if you look at this, it probably doesn't look like Angel, like most of you. We did a little bit in Angel, and that was another thing we found, that the students were not pleased with the structure of Angel. They wanted something a little more seamless. The other thing is we wanted to keep content on our server. We had done that when we were WebCT going into Angel. We had done that. We moved all of the content onto the server, thinking that's a smarter way to kind of serve it to the students. However, the more we used Angel, the more we thought, well, why not put it in? Because that's, we had faculty who teach resident courses coming to us and saying, but, it's different in my resident course. We moved it in. We ran into all kinds of issues. There were things we were trying to do that didn't work, so we ended up moving it back out. This is just a screenshot, and I will go in and actually show you a course so you can kind of see how it works with Angel. But I just want to kind of give you an idea of what some of these look like. The question about copyright. The pictures right here at the bottom of this. These are all from it. This is says the art of the picture book. It's a children's literature course, so it's picture books for children. And the instructor, he puts these pictures up at his class, wanted to use them online. They are copyright protected. So there, we couldn't put these up with the library. We had to actually go and get copyright. So what happens, when you click on one of these, it actually opens up larger so you can see the picture because it's pretty small here. And then there'll be the tagline that shows, who the copyright holder is. So that's what we've done with copyright. So let me just go back. I'm actually going to show you this, but something that we have done too is when we went to kind of this style and layout, we realized we were losing a lot of kind of the content real estate. We have a big banner at the top. We have the picture books, another big title. We've lost a lot of real estate space along the left-hand side with that sidebar. So we have students, once again, older adults, who don't like that layout. They want to see just the content. They may want a larger font. We may have adults who are having eyesight issues. And so what we've done to help them is, I don't know if we're going to be able, no. You'll see this when I go in. But if you look up right above Lesson 2 picture book, there's a plus sign, and then there's a small a and a large A. If you click the plus sign, essentially your screen will do this. And what happens is the content has kind of expanded so that the banner at the top is gone in that left-hand menu. So this kind of opens up the screen for those people. You still have the little a and the small a, and that actually will adjust the font size. So you don't have to go to your browser if you aren't quite sure how to do that. We've kind of done that for you. Then this actually shows faculty can go right in to the web page and edit the course. And so what we've done is I've kind of moved down the page on here. We have the instructor tools and the authoring tools. The authoring tools, one of your options is to edit the current page. It's the second one from the bottom. If you click that, you get this editor up. Faculty can go in. They can make whatever changes that they want. We deal with lots of different departments. Some departments, faculty can do whatever they want on this page, and that's fine. We have some others that don't want them doing too much. They said this is the core content. We want it to stay the same. So it really depends on the department that we're working with as to how much faculty can go in and change that. But like I said, if the department says they can do whatever they want, they can do whatever they want here. There's also some options for, you can get to another menu that kind of allows you to drag and drop, change pages, orders, and things like that they have access to as well. But what I'm going to do is go into a course, if I can find the browser. Your browser was still up?
Just go over to the left there. This way, sorry.
Left.
The dock will pop out. Just in the middle of the page.
In the middle of the page.
Yeah.
Just all the way to the
Yeah, push the mouse over there. Just push your mouse to the edge of the screen.
I'll show you. Okay. I'm used to it at the bottom.
Yeah,
It's not
sorry.
there, I'm lost.
Excuse me. Oh, there.
Right.
Oh, what do we have open before?
Either one.
Oh, so right there.
I always use Firefox, I'm not going to guarantee. So like I said, I'm just going to go into Angel. This is how a student would actually access one of
Actually,
our
you better use
courses.
Firefox because I'm logged in there.
Okay. Oh God, now I've got it.
This is the typical adult.
This is Firefox 7, I hope.
There's Firefox.
I
Gary,
saw
don't
one.
start with me.
This is is another thing. We try to keep our courses seamless because we don't want our adults to have to go into different browsers and applications and things like this. Because this isn't real seamless.
Well, do you have a time check on it? How much time left?
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Whenever.
Okay, so this is how what a student would do. They go into Angel, you click on the course. Here's your Angel. You see this link that says extended syllabus link. This is actually going to roll over into the course. I see that, a student does not. A student's going to see something, if it takes any time at all, it's going to say, please wait, page loading. That's because if I wanted to get to any of the tabs across the top, it gives me a couple of seconds if I needed to get into the syllabus tab. Because essentially what we've done in Angel is on the syllabus, we've set the Start tab to be the Syllabus tab. Then we've uploaded a file to the Syllabus tab that basically rolls this over. And then this is very old. Some of you may remember we've done this for years and years. That's actually worked very well, and we continue to do that. So this, we're actually in the course. So what happens is here we have the home page. In this particular course, we have a video for the instructor.
I'm Matt Jackson, head of the telecommunications department at Penn State.
Stop him. Then we have announcements. This announcement tool is actually something that sits on our server. So this is our own tool. Faculty can come in. The nice thing about this is students, you can see there's a subscribe to the announcements feed. They can subscribe to that and get it on a mobile device if they're using Google Read or something like that. So these announcements will actually get pushed outside of the course. So that's why we have used announcements that are actually on our server. Syllabus also sits on our server. And we also have, because once again we have all these banners, we give the students the option, if you wanted to just print just the syllabus part, there's a printer-friendly link. It's just going to bring up a new window with the syllabus that they can print. Makes it a little easier. The lessons sit on our server once again. Students.
So even though you're using the vocabulary of Angel, you're not uploading that content into the True Lessons tab at all?
No.
But you're maintaining the vocabulary?
Yes. We did because we started with this,
right.
So we've just stayed with it.
And you want to show on the Angel tools before?
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah. So, student, like I say, we just page through the lessons. Once again, another video in here. If I go back to the lessons, the other option that I have, if I'm a student and I don't really feel like paging through this, once again, there's a print lesson button. This will print all of, it will bring up a window. I now have, minus the banners and everything, this is just strictly the content in the course for that lesson. Just, you can do that on a lesson-by-lesson basis. I know we have some students who prefer to move through the course this way than one page at a time, and you can also print it. To go into Angel, you just click one of the links, and it's actually going to take you into a tab. What we've done is we've renamed, this is the Lessons tab in Angel, we've renamed it Activities because that was just kind of where we started. When we did some user testing, we found they still wanted the content to be called Lessons. So this is your Activities link, so a student would click there. When you go into Angel, it's going to open in a new window so that you should know you're in Angel. Communicate tab. Just going to replace it, so you're not going to get 20 different windows open. This one, e-reserve readings. It's going to take me into the resources tab.
So you're using the go-to links or whatever, so they have to be logged into Angel first.
Yes, you must log into Angel first.
So that's the course.
Yeah.
So Angel is the gateway. So
yes, you log into Angel, and then you can go anywhere in the course. The course blog takes you out. Penn State blogs.
And since they're already logged in, they can write, comment, do whatever they
Yes,
need to.
they're all
And they can,
in there.
if they're taking more than one course, easily switch courses since they're already authenticated.
Yeah. So this just to show you, when I click the plus sign, this goes away. If I click the minus sign, comes back. I want a larger font, smaller font. So just tries to give students a little more control than what they had. Then to switch, log out, switch courses, you know, if I want to go back to Angel, there are just buttons up here that are going to take me back to Angel.
Lynn, is any of that Aquila based?
No.
Okay. Is there any other engine aside from Evolution? Because it seems like there's something else, like whenever the instructor goes down the bottom, wants to edit the page, like what, does that bring up a separate?
It's a simple editor tool.
The CK editor is what we're using for that one. Yeah, I can show you that. I can go back in real quick. Yeah, so here, these are, once again, your course management, your management tab, and Angel announcements are on our server if you want to see student view. But to edit the current page, I just come in here.
Okay.
And this, like I said, this is the CK editor.
And that content lives in Quickbase?
No, lives on our server. You're using Quickbase basically to create that wrapper, so this is a template that you could choose in the Quickbase. And if I wanted to change it, I'd go back into Quickbase, select a new template, and it's going to publish out the styles for that.
Designers, essentially, you have two options. You can either...
Is it just static text? Are those just HTML files, or is it like a PHP-based system or anything?
Evolution is PHP-based.
It's PHP.
Yes.
Okay, so you're actually editing content live, and you're displaying. This is dynamic content, so it's being regenerated each time.
Yeah, because I said designers, they could go in, they could use that to do the course, or you can go into Dreamweaver.
You can use whatever HTML editor you want, basically, if you want to do it directly on the server.
Oh, so you
Outside,
can.
of course, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you won't see any of the wrapper at that
No.
point. You'll just
No.
see the
Yeah,
content.
we have, I think, one faculty member, the other faculty member who likes to go that route, but most of them want to have the simpler version of it.
So if I
Most
get
of our
this right,
designers wanna have-
Evolution is PHP based.
Yes.
It changes the content and then it publishes it out to a static HTML file that sits in a directory somewhere.
What it looks like, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
that will be the extent of the questions I can answer about that.
Not bring our program.
Yeah, well, on our, you can go on our server, you can see the HTML files, like I said, so you can pull those down,
If you
work
view
through them.
source, it just looks like
Because
HTML.
Yes,
the
yes,
extension's
yes,
.html.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, all we're really working with is just the plain white page. There's nothing on it other than the content.
So, Stevie, you had a question. I thought it was a really good one about the notion. Yeah, the Quickbase course is not being designed by World Campus. Do you?
Do the help desk still maintain, do they still put the tickets into Quickbase if the course hasn't been developed by World Campus? Because I think it would be interesting data to get.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I think they directly contact whoever is considered the...
Right, but they wouldn't log it into
No.
the database. Okay.
That's really, really smart as a way to do trend analysis on
Oh, we
where
had
your
so
issues
many
are.
times over one course would go from one designer to another, and it was like, let's hope that designer knows everything about the course and all the emails associated with it.
On
so-
screen 33.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we were creating these really long what do we call this, course maintenance documents that
and
just
they
went
never
on
got
forever.
updated, and so, yeah, it's a more dynamic way to
The
scroll.
Angel Contact Support Form actually is routed to World Campus because we actually can recognize if it's a World Campus course, so the user clicks on the Angel Contact Support Form and goes to World Campus.
So I have one last question for you guys. Do you have is anybody other than World Campus using your system? Like are any of the eLearning institutes or anybody?
Currently, Health and Human Development is using it for a couple of courses.
Okay. So you actively
in a
design?
transition. Actually, I'm not the one working on those, but it is an in-house system, so we are running into issues, as Andrea knows, with getting our instructional designer access. So those have been issues, but I think because it's so in-house.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are the first ones doing that, so we're working out some bugs with external, but the goal is that anyone could use it.
Could say,
Yes.
this is the way we want to do our course design stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And I know, I don't see Shannon here, but she from COM contacted us about possibly doing it. So she's talking to Heather Dawson, who's the designer on College of IST.
That's been great. Yeah, helping us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that maybe after you get through this a little bit, to come back and talk to us a little bit about.
We also have Harrisburg. We're working with Harrisburg.
Some of the
using this.
campuses are interested.
And Great Valley. Yep. Or program they're working on.
That's great. Thank you very much, though. If there are other questions for folks from the World Campus, I've started a thread on the site there. You can just drop them there, and then I'll make sure that our folks get them, and we can get those answered. Thank you very much. So Amy's going to run this from the Mac. Any other folks?
I'm just wondering what people really say. Like, do they really like it, or are you just guys putting it in?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know if there's any grumbling in the group and people complained about the system, or is it really like, it seems pretty streamlined from the external.
Grumbling by faculty, students, or designers?
All the above. Designers or faculty. Because, I mean, like, the inline editor looks great. Like, that seems like a very smart way of...
Yeah, I mean, there are no perfect inline editors.
Right.
If someone has found the perfect one, let us know. I mean, there aren't, because of the nature of what
I know you're not using the FCK editor.
It's CK now, and we've called it internal simple editor for the sake of...
Simple. Doesn't do that. We're not going to be using that faculty.
Well, it just seems very natural and
it's
streamlined and...
tremendously improved things.
Good.
And I think shifting our focus to the student, and then what can we manage internally to put our thinking where it should be.
Well, it seems like you've also, in addition to the student experience, you've also thought about your own experience using the system.
Right. So the less time we're spending on administrivia, the more we can spend on design.
Eleanor or Andrew, one of them said Stevie, when she was there, put together all the systems we touch, and it was mind-boggling. It was actually very good for us, because I think that was kind of the impetus to let's get this into, why are we, because we were populating the same information in duplicate systems.
Well, and their chart for learning design was different than the chart for PP&M, which was different than the chart for marketing, which was different. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Did we win for the most?
Nobody. There were no winners.
Oh.
There were no winners.
But if everybody wins, no one wins. Right. Everyone gets a medal. All right, Amy.
I'm Amy Garbrick from College of IST, and we do some things similar to what World Campus folks talked about, and some things different. For the past about 3 years, we've been using Drupal, and here's kind of some of our courses that we use. We do undergrad courses, associate degree certificates, eLearning co-op, and we do some graduate courses. And for the past 3 years, like I said, we've been using Drupal. We do host our content outside of Angel for the most part. Within Drupal, faculty can open up a WYSIWYG editor similar to what the World Campus folks showed you and edit content themselves. And I just have a few screenshots to show you. Here's our courses. Here's our Drupal install. For the past 3 years, like I said, we've been using Drupal. We're moving towards using more of Elms. There's been some discussions about hosting, and we've been hosting internally within the college. We looked at hosting with VMhost, with ITS, and right now what we started with was the raw Drupal, and then we've included modules, and we've talked to the expert Brian Olendijk quite a bit as far as him helping us get started with what modules we're using and what kind of themes we were using, templates we were using. Here are some of our courses, and so this is kind of our homepage that we can, as designers, we can click within each course. Here's IST 110S, and the designers would see, when they log in, see all the edit features and the admin features. We have a team of, right now, 3 instructional designers, plus myself, and we've had up to 8 undergrad students and up to 2 grad students helping us. And so our undergrad students especially, usually our IST students, and have helped us quite a bit with testing out modules before we install them, looking at different features that we might want to look at, a mobile version, for example, or a way to do quizzes with Drupal, a way to do surveys, so different features that we want to look at. They'll help us test them on their dev space, then we'll install them for a course and try them out that way. We typically have navigation on the left. That's kind of pretty standard with our courses, and different various topics. Here's some screenshots of, these are our MPS courses. So for our MPS program, we have different banners at the top, same template or theme that we use throughout. The navigation is similar on the left. Usually we have a getting started at the top, and then our topics down the side on the left. We typically embed videos, whether we put them on YouTube or whether we put them on Drupal. Our Drupal site, as far as our Drupal server, the content is outside of Angel, and we'll embed those videos, include links to it. Various content or PowerPoint slides or extra files that they may need. Here's we've started a program with enterprise architecture, so we have a number of courses in that program. Typically the syllabus is very long and detailed within Drupal and includes the course information, the grading information, a course schedule that's very specific by class. We also have some other elements that we use for MPS courses. Media site is something we use, but we record live lectures, and the students log in and watch those. And these are kind of pieces that I wish that we had a better way to integrate all of these pieces like you were talking about. But they go to a specific site, they log in, that information is in Angel. So Angel's kind of the home base, they go in Angel first. Then they can get to media site for the lectures. And they can watch it recorded or live. For the live courses, we use Live Question Tool from Harvard. And we have an instance of it locally that we use, and the students can ask questions, and the TA monitors and asks questions of the instructor live. Within Angel, we use Angel for quizzes, drop boxes, grades, the grade book, and kind of the home base. So the students click on the Syllabus tab, it opens up Drupal within the frame of Angel. So it's outside of Angel, but students don't know that. The content opens up the Drupal site within Angel. Again, they're in the same frame. It doesn't open up a new window like World Campus folks do, but you're still in the frame of Angel. We do the quizzes, like I said, and drop boxes, discussion forums. Sometimes we do in Angel. We've played with discussion forums in Drupal, and then the gradebook. All those things are typically in Angel. We have labs. We have lots of courses that use virtual labs. We use VMware. And so on our own office site, we have some kind of a list of those labs and how to get into them. If the course has labs, also within Angel would be that information and the link of how to get into the VMware, which is kind of a separate piece. And they log into that, and then what to do as far as their step-by-step.
So some of those labs are actually, they go into a virtual machine.
Yes.
Actually,
they're actually doing the hacking.
Right, so they're hacking.
And it's locked off from the internet at large, and there's a server, and there's a computer, and I'm going to hack this one or log into this one, and they're actually doing that. Okay. So they have admin rights on those machines, so they can do whatever they want to.
Just out of curiosity, do you know what you're using for that, for the virtual?
VMware. So we also are using Adobe Connect, and again, the links from within Angel to Adobe Connect, a home base for the course where there's office hours, or the TA goes in and chats with students, and then we give each team their own space, give them host rights. They go in themselves, the instructor doesn't need to be there, and they work on their team project. That's mostly for the MPS program, as far as the distance students. Some students choose to use their own online meeting software, maybe they have with their employer or whatever, but we provide them a space and give them host rights so they can use it if they want to. And they can record meetings, and often they'll do their presentations within there. So they'll do their team presentations, record it, post the link, and then the instructor and the other students can go back and watch the presentation. 2 of our classrooms have media site technology within it. One of them has a smartboard, so the faculty member can actually write and record on that smartboard. That records out to their PowerPoint. And the other classroom doesn't have the smartboard, but has a podium so that they can also write, and that's recorded.
And that's then pushed out through media site.
Yes. Media site they can also download, and we're working on. We've had requests for a podcast solution. They just want the audio, not just the audio. So we're working on that. They can download it at this point, and they get a WMV file. We're trying to make that a little easier for them to get on mobile devices, but at this point they can download it, take it with them. So that's what I have. I can open up and show you. Actually, some of our actually go into a course and show you, but I think it's going to be very similar to what World Campus showed you, the WYSIWYG. That's what we have. I know Arts and Architecture is probably going to show you more about Drupal, which is what we're doing. And EMS is also using Drupal. So, are there questions or anything that you want me to show you specifically?
How do you move back and forth between Angel and what's on the server?
We think of kind of Angel as the place that they go in to start. We just log into Angel, copy our template from a course development group.
Can you show like an example? You said courses, kind of what a student did.
Okay.
Back and forth between the two.
Better use Firefox. Logged in. And we know that Angel
I could advise them what to do, but I'm not allowed to.
You want to see Angel, Lynn?
Yeah, I'd just like to see kind of what the student experience going through.
Talk to me afterwards. Yeah, off the record.
Whoops.
So all of you with a password shorter than 12 characters are going to get a note from the security office later.
Okay. Okay, so here, for example, is IST 554. So we go in, we'll have course development groups for each one of these courses, and when the new course is opened in Angel, we'll copy the materials from that course development group into the course for spring or fall or whatever semester. So all the stuff we copy. And so typically have a welcome message from the instructor, and we put it here just in case the students were added after the instructor sent out the welcome email. This opens to the syllabus, which is the same thing when you click on the syllabus tab. It's supposed to open to the syllabus in Drupal, so students don't realize that they're actually in Drupal now. Course content, same thing. We have a question cafe, which is kind of general questions. The media site and live question tool information is here, that they can open up media site. We have the Adobe Connect, and we list all the team spaces, so they can open up and see their particular team space, and we create those, which I wish that Adobe Connect would take the API export from Angel and take those team lists and create those spaces for us, because we do that one at a time now, which is a pain. We create each Adobe Connect team space for each course. So I wish that would be, I've already requested that, but that would be nice for us to be able to just create those spaces based on the Angel API. If the course has labs, then we have drop boxes and instructions for each one of those. This is one that does include the VM. And then typically the instructor will include PowerPoints here, or we could put them on the Drupal site and link to them from the Drupal site. Just the discussion forums, other assignments, quizzes, and basically the other drop boxes. And then the grade book is something that we also integrate and use quite a bit within Angel.
Thank you.
What's the percentage of content that you're hosting at YouTube versus in-house, would you say?
Off the top of my head, maybe 50-50.
Really? Is it trending in one direction or the other?
It depends on what the instructor feels. If they don't want their stuff out there, then we're looking at hosting it. And we're working on a streaming server solution that will integrate better with our Drupal solution, so that they'll have that locked down and we won't have to worry about. But we've done the YouTube where you need the exact URL to get there kind of thing, but it's still not, doesn't make everybody happy. We encourage you to, when they're willing to do that, but if they're not interested in.
Do you get any pushback on sort of the notion of the double navigation? So you have to learn the Angel structure, and then you jump out to course content, and you have a totally. Do you have issues?
No, if we get pushback, then we take care of it for them. They send us the content in Word, and we put it up in Drupal.
No, I just meant from a
student's perspective,
no.
They seem to be comfortable with that. They're in Angel. Some of them never realize that they are actually outside of Angel. They're
it's just their ecosystem. They get used to it.
Yeah.
And now in the MPA, these are
MPS programs.
I'm sorry, MPS, these are adult learners as
right. Usually working full-time corporate folks. Yeah.
All right. Like slightly different than, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and because it's IST, we tend to have more folks who are comfortable with technology, so we don't have as many help desk, I don't know what the browser is kind of questions maybe the general population might have.
Yeah, I mean, our population is so varied because we do have some that, like in the IMBA program, they are professionals, but then we have some, I don't want to name them, but other programs where the students come in and they do seem, a lot of help. So, it runs the gamut for us.
Very
Amy, did you say that your content is housed on the Penn State VM host server or your own
No,
college server?
our own college server right now.
And so your own IT department takes care of it 24/7, so it doesn't go down.
Right. I mean, we haven't, yeah.
24/7-ish.
Yeah.
Right.
24/7 light.
We've been okay.
Amy, are you looking at Echo 360 as a possible media site?
I'm interested in looking at that, yes. I mean, they've invested, our college has invested in media site and those classrooms with 4 cameras in each room. But I'm interested in what Penn State as a whole is looking at for 360 and finding out more about that.
Have you been part of Chris's committee on that, Malaise?
I don't think, no.
We can.
I'd be interested in that.
Hook you up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Try a whole nother way of presenting. I'm going to try to use Google Presenter here, so we'll see if...
I know.
It's okay. You're really pushing the envelope.
I know. You know, those liberal arts
It's
are
almost like it's
radical.
2011. We all listen.
Okay, somebody's going to have to help me with this.
Yeah, I can't even.
Oh, wait.
I have trouble reading.
Yeah, that's true.
CNN?
We don't know. Oh, yeah.
Maybe?
I love it. You can't tell them. You can't read.
No, there is a V.
No, I didn't like
No, I
that.
didn't like that. Oh, this one's much better though.
Yeah.
E.
This was an
E-E-R.
Oops, wait. EP. E.
She's trying to do a group project.
Oh.
S-E-N-E-S.
Yep.
Does that look good?
Whatever that word is.
I can't wait for the whole world to see you fill that.
Okay, well, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how liberal arts is kind of a combination, again, of what we've seen so far. I think everybody's going to be kind of building on what somebody else has already done. But I think there's some unique things about liberal arts that are basically because of the way our college is. You know, we have, as you know, just even in the residential program, you know, we have programs in the College of Liberal Arts, but we also provide so many general education programs for the rest of the university. So our online portfolio is very similar. Right now, we have about a little over 60 courses that have been developed in-house by our unit. There's a lot more of them that the World Campus has developed, and they're kind of historical courses that have been around for a long time.
Cathy, how many did you say?
A little over 60. And they're in a bunch of different formats. Some of them are World Campus programs that are delivered through the World Campus to the same kind of students that Lynne and Amy talked about. But they're developed in a number of different ways. Some of them are courses that are part of programs that we are developing in-house. For example, right now we're working on a proposal for a bachelor's in arts and science and economics. So those courses will all be developed by the College of Liberal Arts, so they'll be kind of in our format. We also have courses that are part of inter-college World Campus degree programs, like the Homeland Security program, which I think the list of campuses and colleges that are not involved in that program would be shorter than the list of colleges that are. But, so every student that's in any one of the Homeland Security programs has to take a couple of courses that were designed by the College of Liberal Arts. But, you know, many of the other courses in that program are developed by a number of different places. So I'm sure those students are getting a wide range of looks and feels and, you know, how that their courses all look very different from each other, I'm sure. And then we have a lot of courses that are part of programs that were developed by the World Campus. So we have a couple of courses in the program. This is a good example. LER 100 is part of the bachelor's in LER that most of the courses are being developed by the World Campus, but there's a couple of them that are in our format. So those students are seeing kind of a different look and feel for some of the courses that they have. As I said before, one of the other issues, though, with liberal arts is not only are our courses part of programs, but they're general education courses that are being offered not only to students at the World Campus. For example, here's Econ 102. It'll be part of the economics program that we're developing. It's a requirement for many of the other World Campus programs that could be developed by any of the colleges.
It's a requirement for many of the residential programs, so we often offer this course in the summer online to students who are here at Penn State, at University Park, who need to take this course. And it's just a general gen ed that anybody can take just to meet some of those gen ed requirements. So one course for us needs to meet a variety of different requirements, and I think while all of the college units that are doing this probably have that same situation, I think for liberal arts that's more of an issue. So, as I said, we often have multiple sections of the same course running at the same time. So we have multiple instructors of the same course at the same time. We also have frequent instructor changes. Many of our courses, again, since they're gen eds, a lot of times we have graduate students teaching them. They kind of come and go. So often we'll have one faculty member who develops a course. Maybe we'll teach it once or twice, but then somebody else is teaching it every semester. Every time it runs, it's a new instructor. And as I said before, we have multiple student audiences. We've got the World Campus adult learner population. We've got resident students at University Park that are taking an online course. We also offer our courses through the eLearning Cooperative, so we have students at other campuses at Penn State. So we work very hard to try and design our courses in a way that will be friendly and good pedagogy for both an adult student and a traditional 19-year-old University Park resident student. So, for example, out of those 60-plus courses that we have kind of in our portfolio, this fall we're running 39 of them, so they don't all run every semester, but we have 69 sections of courses running just this fall with the 39 that are there. So we have a fairly large portfolio of stuff that's going on. Our design philosophy is somewhat similar to what Amy talked about. We're using Angel as the gateway, as the interface for the courses. So most of our courses, when students log in, will look like this. We're keeping in Angel the things that are unique to that instructor and that section. So like the syllabus, the instructor information, the calendar for the course. Those things will all be kept in Angel each semester. We're also using Angel for grading, for quizzing, for discussions. I'll show you a couple other ways that we do that as well. Communication, all the email and stuff, that still goes through Angel. But basically, it's the interface, and then the section-specific information is what's in there. Then students will link out of Angel, and I'll show you in a minute how they do that. Again, similar to what Amy was talking about. And we're using Clone instead of Drupal. It's a very kind of similar look and feel. It's a similar interface, but they'll link into a lesson. Here's the different pages of content that are in that lesson. And they do have the ability in Clone as well to, edit. This would be the instructors have the ability to edit content on those pages, similar to the other systems that you've seen. And then for activities, learning activities in the course, we use a variety of things. We do some activities in Angel, discussion boards and so forth in some courses. We have some of our activities directly in Clone, and I'll show you an example of that. And then we use other things, blogs, voice threads, link them out to other websites to do gaming or something like that. We've used Google Docs in courses. A lot of our language courses have a lot of publishers' content that's actually out there from the textbooks that they're linking directly to that. And then we've developed some specialized programs, normally in PHP, where we have students doing activities that are things that we've designed specifically for a certain course, like we have a map of Africa where they're filling in information about different countries in Africa. So it's kind of a grab bag of stuff. So I can show you just a quick example of one course. Okay, so this is Applied Linguistics 804. This is actually a course that's a graduate level course in the Applied Linguistics program. It's offered through the World Campus, but it is also for students that are coming here as master's students in the Applied Linguistics program. They can take the first 4 courses of their master's program as online as part of these World Campus programs. So this is a student that is online at first and then may actually be coming to Penn, to University Park to finish their coursework. So you can see the interface looks very similar to that screenshot that I showed you earlier. We do have a calendar program that we use for all of our courses that we kind of build this for each course initially, and then each semester we can just change the first date of the course and it'll repopulate all the dates and stuff over here, which is a real time saver for things like that. But in this Getting Started folder, that's where we'll have the syllabus and the Meet the Instructor information and all that kind of stuff. We really try to design by weeks and include the dates of when they're doing things here. I think that helps keep the students on track and know where they are each week during the semester. But for example, when you go into a week's lesson, there's really no Angel content here. It's just a list of stuff to do. So we're not really using, in this lesson particularly, we're not really using Angel for anything except just the gateway into the rest of the course. When they click here, they'll now be taken over to the actual website in Plone for this course. Again, this is Applied Linguistics 804. You can see we're in lesson 2, and now it's just going through the lesson. Here's an example of how we've built an activity right into Plone, where we're asking the students to make a comment about a quote that the instructor has included, and they're actually having their discussion is actually taking place right here rather than using the Angel discussion forums.
Have you asked students if they prefer that kind of a model, or is it?
Not specifically. We do mid-course evaluations, and we've asked them about the navigability of our courses and whether they are able to find things they need, and they've we've consistently gotten high scores in students knowing where they're going and where they need to be and so forth. But we haven't specifically asked about this discussions.
Can the students go directly to Plone and access the website? I mean, copy the URL?
They could, yes.
And are they prompted to log in?
They would be, yes. We have that behind web access, and we also have just gotten permission to use the Angel API, so we can pull that information in if we need to lock it down. Yeah. So we are able, in some cases, we have students there actually creating pages in Plone for projects that they're working on and groups or so forth, so we can actually lock certain pages down so that only certain students can see a certain page or edit a certain page and so forth. So we can, like the other systems, we can embed video. Here's another activity where they're actually now being sent out to VoiceThread, and sometimes we embed the VoiceThreads right in Plone. In this case we didn't because they're actually going to be editing something. So rather than try to do that in Plone, we're just going to send them out. So they're just going to link out to the VoiceThread site at this point. And then here's another example of we're telling someone, early in the course they've created their own blog site, so we're telling them, okay, now go to your blog and post about this topic or something here. So we're using a lot of different systems. I think like Amy mentioned, it would be great to have a way to kind of pull all this together, and allow us to kind of point out to places more seamlessly.
So access is managed in one place,
right.
Dashboard, shared across.
Right. I mean, the fact that they don't have to log in and log out again is huge.
Right.
So one single sign-on helps a lot, but still, I'm sure there's probably
having teaming and identity and course stuff managed above the applications, and they all speak to that. So.
Right. But it would be really hard for us to have a system like the World Campus has, where Angel's not the interface, because we do use the same courses for so many residential kind of situations. So I think it's kind of a trade-off. Those students are going to be kind of, whoa, what's this? This looks different than anything else I've seen, as opposed to the World Campus students. So it's a difficult kind of balancing act that we're trying to do there. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
How much have you been able to influence how Plone works for your courses?
I'm not the good person to ask that. What do you mean influence?
Do you guys as learning designers have requests to have it work certain ways to fit your needs?
Functionality.
Sure. I mean, we have a programmer in our unit who is skilled in Plone. So, and we're also a partner of Webline.
Right.
So, if we say to him, we'd like to be able to, well, here's a good example. We're trying to see if we could embed Adobe Presenter files, and we needed to try and figure out how to best do that. And so, if he needed help, he could try to figure out if he needs help. Then he'll go down and talk to the Webline folks and make that happen. So, we haven't built. This is the template. They all pretty much look the same. The only thing that changes from course to course is that banner at the top. So we don't have quite as many options for templating but we could. We just decided that they would all kind of look the same.
What's your team structure look like within your organization? Like, what are your people and?
We have 3 learning designers, a programmer / multimedia person who does a lot of our gets our movies uploaded and all that kind of stuff, but also does our Plone programming. Mm-hmm. And then we have 2 instructional design assistants who do a lot of the maintenance and the course, behind the scenes courses from semester to semester, and handle some of the technical questions from students and faculty. One of the things that we do, which I don't know whether this is unique to us or not, is we have a technical support discussion forum in every course where students or the faculty can go for help. Sometimes they go there, sometimes they go to the help desk. Sometimes they go to the help desk and then they come back to us anyway. So we're trying to kind of cut that, short circuit that for the students. That does take a lot of time on our staff, though.
And is that so? That's per course. So they don't go to like one big clearinghouse to ask questions. Per course. Okay.
Is that in a discussion forum in Angel or?
Yes. Well, it's an Angel. Yeah, it's part of that first interface.
Follow up with the help desk.
Yeah, please.
I don't know, how is the help desk handled here at the University Park for different, is there a help desk for different colleges, or is there a central help desk in Penn State here for students to, if it's online or residential? Or?
Well, there's an ITS help desk, and there is walk-in as well as phone support and email support. There's also the Angel Contact Support Form actually goes to Angel support staff directly. Okay. And also, World Campus has their own help desk.
Right. Okay.
I don't know about learning institutes.
Well, I think that seems to be, I don't know, a fairly large problem for us. It's like, per course, where do you send students? And what's the issue? Does the instructor deal with it? Is it an ITS issue? Is it a World Campus issue? Whose issue actually is it? And without putting like 16 different links in, go here for this, and here for this, and here for this, which just confuses the students, is there one central place for them to ask the question?
Right. And I didn't know if that was different here, or if you have the same combination.
Yeah, like I said, the help link, the Angel Contact Support link in Angel for World Campus courses are actually routed to the World Campus help desk.
And then it's not even just students, it's faculty too.
Faculty,
they're like, well, whose problem was that?
Right.
And then as we disaggregate systems, it's like, well, whose problem actually is
right, and often what we're finding in the technical support board that we have in Angel for each course is our staff is kind of almost a clearinghouse. Well, okay, we're going to contact Blogs of Penn State for that question because that has something to do with that. Oh, we're going to contact the Voice Third people because that has something to do with
But you manage all that.
Well, we manage all that.
So you're like Grand Central Station.
A little bit. A little bit, yeah.
But the ITS help desk can answer or get you in the right direction with regard to all these various services that are being used.
Where it's challenging is if it's a World Campus student. That's why in at least the courses that come out of World Campus Learning Design, the one place we send them is the help desk.
Right.
And then they get in touch with the designer. And the
World
designer
Campus actually filters the problems, determine if it's an Angel problem, then they'll contact Angel support.
World Campus also has phone support, which a lot of the other students don't have access to that.
Yeah. ITS help desk has phone.
Right, but they're not.
Certain hours.
Extended hours.
Right.
Yeah. Extended hours, weekends.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'm getting the nod.
Just one last question. Kathy, did you say the content's in Angel or on your own server?
Content's in Plone on our own server.
On your own server.
Well, it's a VM hosted server.
The Penn State.
Okay, so
we didn't do PowerPoint.
We did piece
Brief.
Really?
Says to me.
Yeah, no pre. So this will be the low tech.
9:45 this morning.
Yeah. Oh, like 10,
11.
11. Yeah. So I'll run through the institute quickly. I'm currently the interim director. Stevie's the assistant director, and leading our learning design group. So we'll kind of tag team this a little bit. The institute, Dutton Institute, is responsible just for the College of Earth and Mineral Sciences, helping our college put targeted degree and certificate programs online. We did initially also do have a goal of putting some gen ed courses online, but really that we focus on degree and certificate programs now. We have those gen eds, but we focus on our programs. We have a bachelor's program, a degree completion online, 2 master's programs, and 4 certificate programs. We have over 65 courses online at this point. We are, funny enough, we may seem big to a lot of people. We do have 46 people appointed directly to the Institute, but most of that is faculty. They're instructors for various courses. We're actually about the same size as Cathy's group, but we're a lot littler college, so that's not really a fair comparison. We have 3 people who are supposed to be full-time learning designers, although Stevie's one of them and wears an administrative hat as well. So we have one person, Lynne Johnson, who is half-time with us and half-time with the College of Science, but he's appointed to our institute. We have 1 assistant instructional designer. We have 1 web systems administrator, so our IT person. We had a multimedia specialist who actually now works mostly with the Center for Sustainability. So thank God we have Stevie, and we also have who also can wear that hat. And we have in this summer, I approved a R&D initiative within our group. So Husro Kidwai, who's one of our instructional designers, he leads that group now and has just in a few short months really pulled in a bunch of mostly graduate students who are really looking for neat opportunities, and it's really expanded our multimedia arm. So we get creative in that respect. In terms of the environment we use, again, just trying to be quick and building on everybody else, it looks a lot like what you've seen, and I will take you in. But we use Drupal. We were one of the first adopters of Elms. We're behind. We're always behind where arts and architecture is, so they'll be able to show you the latest and greatest. But I thought I'd just show you one of our courses as an example. This is a geography course. We've used Angel as the front door, so to speak. We actually try to use it as little as possible, only to limit the amount we do have to go back and forth between Drupal and Angel, although I only have 1 anecdotal story of a student finding it difficult, and I can pretty much guarantee you that student would have found using a mouse difficult. So I think you have to be careful whether the complaint is about going back and forth. Our argument has always been people who are used to online life are used to going from one website to another website. We have not found it to be an issue. We just try to make our instructions very clear and our interfaces very clear.
Plus, because we have a lot of courses that are open educational resources, we can't really do the direct linking into Angel tabs the way you might do at the World Campus, for example, just because you have a lot of folks in Brazil, interestingly, using the content from the courses in our Open Educational Resource Initiative. And so for them, it makes no sense, so kind of keeping it a little bit more separate.
So actually, all right, so that's a good part to bring up, the OER. We have a very strong philosophy in our college of making our courses openly available. Probably 90%, 95% are. The faculty, the department heads love it. It lets them show off their work easily to the rest of their peer community. And it serves as a great way for students to kind of get a little teaser, get to see what a course is like. They can see everything but the interaction with the instructor and anything else we might have needed to have locked down.
But also, I was going to add, just for accessibility purposes, one of the things that we ran into this year was we found out we were going to have a student who was visually impaired in one of our courses. Because it was an OER, the Office of Disability Resources was able to send the student directly to the course, and they were able to review it before registering to make sure that they could participate in all the activities. So that really was an advantage.
So OER was our main reason for not using Angel originally. We just couldn't lock down our content. But Angel is still the main tie-in with the university system. So it's great for rostering, for any of the tools, the email. We've yet to find another email tool that works as well and already has the students in there and teams and so forth. So let me just show you quickly what one of these looks like. So when a student logs in, they're told initially to go to Angel, click on their course. They typically, we use pretty much the same template, so to speak, and I mean that in terms of content for every course, and then faculty and designers can modify from there as desired. So pretty often they have the resources tab as the landing spot, and we have an announcement there for the first day of class, hopefully every week at minimum, if it's a traditional semester-long class. But then from there, they click on the resources tab, the lessons tab, and we try to keep this very simple. This faculty member actually has a couple extra items that normally you wouldn't see. The standard is to have the course content, the quizzes and surveys, if there are quizzes and surveys, drop boxes, if there are need for drop boxes, and discussion forums. Other than that, everything is kept in Drupal. So they're told in multiple places, including that announcement, to start by going to the course content. Once they do that, and it told them, a new tab or a window, however they have their browser set up, opens, and now they're in Drupal. And just like everyone else, for the most part, who's gone, the look and feel stays the same, but the banners change. Try to make them, we're lucky to have a learning designer who also is a great graphic designer, so he puts these together for us with input from the faculty and whoever is around in the peanut gallery and wants to chime in. The menus are almost always identical. Down the left side, again, we have one person whose responsibility it is. It used to be me. It's now our assistant instructional designer to make these shells for every course. So every course starts out with the same components, and then again, the faculty member and the learning designer can work from there to modify it. We have a very strong philosophy, and have the whole time I've been there. I've been there 9 years now, and the Institute's about 12 years old, that we are doing our job if we can make ourselves obsolete. These courses really are the faculty members, first and foremost. We should not be in their way. We should support them however we can. That works out hit or miss. We have some faculty who, to this day, 10, 11, 12 years later, still want a learning designer right by their side every step of the way. But we have a lot of faculty who we can practically not get them to, meet with us after the first couple meetings. They're like, oh yeah, I get how this works. Let me go. And we have a really good relationship, I think, across the board. The faculty very much respect our faculty and staff, and they also feel good about the fact that we're not trying to, suspicious that we're not trying to keep them from their content. So, but having that kind of shell, that standard shell, helps us at least make sure that things are consistent to begin with. The overall shell follows the quality design standards that many of us were part of formalizing for Penn State. So, the navigation is very sound, and all the different elements that were in that 12 or 13 step program. There's always an orientation. And again, it's pretty boilerplate unless the faculty member changes it. We're actually going to be going to trying to, right now we make a copy of this for each course, and we're trying to look at how could we make a centralized, at least, have the majority of that centralized, so if it's teaching them how to use Angel or teaching them how to use the libraries or what have you, we don't have to copy and paste that, mostly because we link to a lot of resources across the university. We link to a lot of things, for example, in the Angel knowledge base. And every time the URLs change, which they do, we have to go back through, manually go through all our courses and update them. So it would be really helpful, because what we found is most faculty love the orientation we've drafted for them, and they're really not changing it much, other than the meet the instructor part. So we're looking at that. Once they start the course, there's a resources box. We use one link to Angel. We don't use the go-to links. Maybe our experience is different, but we've had more students confused because they weren't. We encourage them to bookmark the course. So if they hadn't logged into Angel, or if they're taking multiple courses, the go-to links would either not work or they'd go to the wrong course. And so we just do one link to Angel, and the first time we have them do something like use a Dropbox or take a quiz in Angel, we give them kind of the step-by-step, click on the Angel link, then click on, after that, they just go and to our knowledge and the bit of evaluation data we have, except for that one student I heard about, we haven't had a problem. And then the content itself, again, all of this is in Drupal. They walk through the content. You've seen this in other people's courses. There's Jing, there's YouTube. We use primarily YouTube, although we've used a lot of different things. You know that Cole and Alan, that we've had some trouble with the Penn State streaming server not always working for our distance students. We had wanted to use that, but we now put things on YouTube. It almost always something that's OER anyways. If not, the security by obscurity works in most cases. We could always, if something ever needs to really be locked down, even though Drupal we can lock components of the Drupal content down. If we want to really lock it down and not even have it be part of the Drupal site, we just stick it in Angel. So you just page through our courses, and if it's time to go post to the course blog, you're sent to the Penn State blog space. If you need to do something with VoiceThread, it's either, as Cathy said, it's either embedded or you go there. I mean, we use all of the same tools, Adobe Connect, MediaSite Live, all these things that others are using. It's been really fun to see all of your models, because there's always better and different ways to do things. So, we're always learning. And one of the things I put, just to call attention, on the little discussion thread that you've got going is, I would love to have this group do a session that's just on these tools, and then have like your calendar, or we have a group sign-up tool, and other things. Our R&D initiative, one of the big things we're working on right now with help from ETS and from Arts and Architecture is the Rubricator, and trying to make that a university tool finally. So I'd love to have us show off those different things that people are willing to share, like the map of Africa thing. Somebody it's like, ooh, I bet that could be adopted and used in other world cases. And then have some kind of a referatory, right, so that because when we forget, 6 months from now, we can go back and look for those. So, Stevie, you had a couple of...
Yeah, I was going to say a couple of other things, wrong thing, that we've been working on just within Drupal using different Drupal modules. Is one of the things that we've been working on is using CCK and views a little bit more robustly. CCK allows you to do content construction of particular types, and then views allow you to have a view into a particular type of content. So for EGE 120, one of the things that they wanted to do, and I probably shouldn't be showing this, but they wanted to do 1-minute essays. So if you, and I don't even know where you put them. I'm not logged in. Let's see.
Blog, timeline. They have an interactive timeline in this course. There. 1-minute essay.
Yeah. So this is a view that was created. You could look for particular user IDs. Basically, the contents type
is the faculty view.
This is the faculty view. So if you wanted to create a 1-minute essay, they have various topics each week, and then the student would just come in and put the lesson number, the title of their 1-minute essay, and then they would type their essay there, and it would submit it. But it doesn't actually publish that as a node. What it does is it feeds it into that faculty view, so the faculty member can go in and say, I want to look at all the 1-minute essays for lesson 2. They're all in one big list. They can go in. There's a feedback field that the student doesn't see when they submit the essay, but the faculty member does. So they can put feedback in there, and then the student can go in and they have their own view where they can review only their 1-minute essays. They can see the teasers from everyone's, but they can only see the feedback for their own. So it was sort of a way for us to kind of go back and forth with the faculty member for something that they wanted to do that was a little more special. Also for a large class where they didn't want to read all of the 1-minute essays, they wanted to choose them randomly. So we made a random number generator that said, you know, you want to check 10 essays out of X number of students, and it would randomly generate the students that you should check. And then they could go give those students feedback, and then everybody else just kind of gets credit. One of the other things that we're looking into, we're very early days in this, is using organic groups to support group activity. One of the things that we notice is because people are going everywhere, they're going to Google Docs, they're using this for collaboration, they're using that for collaboration. There may be instances where you want the faculty member to be able to see that in one place without having to get them added with their Google account and having all of that stuff kind of out there. So we're taking a look at using organic groups to support group work, to allow them to edit and create pages, possibly create documents, blog posts. And that will also be of big importance in our ESP program because
that's our degree completion program.
Yeah, so the energy and sustainability policy program, the students are interested in joining and creating a club. And so to be able to have that kind of organic group space for them to manage that is one of the other things that we're looking at. I think those are the two big ones.
The other thing, just to mention, because I know we're out of time, is a couple people have mentioned the importance of merging RI and World Campus students. Just as Cathy said, we design our courses so they work with both audiences. We're learning designers, we know how to do that. And it's been really successful, and our faculty and our students have really found that enriching. It also allows us a lot of times to offer courses that to World Campus students and RI students that we otherwise couldn't offer because we couldn't get the numbers. But if we combine those two audiences...
Yeah, if you have 3 World Campus students and 25 RI students, then you can at least offer the course.
Yeah, or 2 and 3, with these small groups. So it has been really important to us to have that, be using Angel as a front door because it's that consistency. The faculty are used to it. The resident students are used to it if they take one of these if they're merged into a World Campus course. And it's worked pretty well. It's worked pretty well. That's it.
Excellent. Closing questions? It's getting similar now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of overlap. I don't know, guys, what do you I mean, it's... You have 1 minute. 1 minute for a minute.
Maybe we can continue next time?
Yeah, I'm happy to continue this next time. The other thing, I'll throw this out to the group. There's been probably 100 notes taken just live, and there's some really interesting questions in there. What I'll try to do is I'll try to pull out some of the more interesting comments and the overlaps. I'll send out a note to the whole group with pointers back to where the questions are here. And Wayne had a good question about selecting where activities happen and how do you make those decisions. If you could take 15 minutes in the next week or so to try to answer and moderate some of those, that would be really helpful. And then maybe at our next meeting, Keith and Bill, we could start off with sort of a discussion about what we saw today and what's going on in arts and architecture and where we think as a community we should start to push this conversation. Is that a fair set of next steps on this one? Yeah? Wow, don't everybody... Somebody getting motion or something?
Everyone was nodding.
Were they? It's sunny out. Okay, well then I really sincerely want to thank everybody for their participation today, and I look forward to seeing you in November. It's November 16th. November 16th. So we'll see you back here. If you're going to EDUCAUSE, maybe I'll see you down there.
Yeah, how many of us are going to EDUCAUSE? I've had a lot.
All right, I'll send out a note about a meetup as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because you always have to travel to other places to meet with your colleagues.
That's true. That's true.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, and they're looking for conveners. It's like I signed up to be the convener for Carol McQuiggan's session. That's kind of a fun